That's so stinking cool. Then when you plug that in, it almost felt like it added so much depth. There was double guitars and there was one on each side.
These things, I hear everything. At least I thought I did. All right.
It's like crazy. Oh my god.
It made these like stock pair of earphones sound like a really good pair of earphones.
I feel like I'm at my own concert right now.
This kind of like lifts all of those layers of electronics and artificialness out of the way.
A bunch of little things that you normally wouldn't hear, but this pulls out every sound that we put into a song, and it just like brings it all together, and you hear everything all at once.
Mutual friend of ours, Joe, was there at this big, 96 input board. Everybody's been there, Sinatra, everything, and he kind of stops and he kind of rolls back and says, "My buddy John came up with this thing. It's amazing," and you rarely ever get that experience.
Basically puts you right in the mix. When I'm listening to music on the Me, I can hear every instrument, every detail of the mix. I hear every little nuance. It just absolutely takes what is recorded and makes it pop.
Man, I got this thing. I said, "Is it for the guitar?" He says, "No, it's not. It's a new listening device." I said, "Well, what does it do?" He said, "Well, it totally enhances the listening experience and it brings things out of the mix." And, obviously I'm like, well, yeah, right,
I went to John's house and we were going to look at a different unit, and then he goes, "Look, I have this thing that I'm working on." And it really blew me away more than the other thing that he was showing me.
He brings it over and I listen to it and I'm floored. And I'm like, how does he do this?
Experience is now you're hearing this. It's not just this. You're hearing a little bit of more of the dimension, and you're like, okay, well, this guy is flat.
This is what it does. It brings out it makes your listening experience high definition.
You're so used to it that that's your normal, and then you find a new normal. And then going back to your old normal is not the same anymore.
After I tried it for the first time and had to go live my life without it, I was really upset because now I had this great experience to compare my normal music to, and nothing compares.
And the stereo spread was wider, the bass was louder, but it wasn't overpowered. I mean, you could hear everything. It was just better.
It's like the surround sound effect. Like you're like immersed in the song when you're listening to the Me.
So all of a sudden, everything became wider and broader.
The question isn't if people are going to like it. The question is, how many can you make and when people, are going to be able to get it? Because immediately, if you hear it, you're going to like it.
This actually, for the first time that I've been doing, tracks all by myself in my home studio, I felt like I was really there recording with the guys.
Oh my gosh, it's so awesome. Things sound so good.
This thing is a game changer.
Everything you've heard, everything you thought you heard, this thing will change it for you.
Keep on.
Hey, how goes it?
Good.
How are you doing, sir?
Good,
Mr. John
good.
Cascia.
Yeah, so it's the first time you heard the Me product, and you played it with a band today.
Right.
So what do you think?
Well, the interesting thing is I got a chance to use it in a professional setting where we're filming a television show, which you all will know. I just can't mention it on the ad right now, but trust me, it's a very popular show. And I use the in-ears, as you can probably see, for the entire show. And the good thing about in-ears is you can get stereo, you can hear the overheads of the drums, you can hear placements of things. The bad thing is it usually makes the instruments sound like crap. With the ME, the Me, if you will, it expands the dynamic range of the earphones. You hear the lows on the bass, you hear the space on the drums, you hear the space on the guitar, and it kind of puts everything back in perspective as if you weren't hearing in-ears at all. So you get the best of both worlds. You get the isolation, no feedback from the acoustic guitars. I can go over the overheads, I can have everything in stereo, and now I can hear the bass. You can't feel it like you have a subwoofer, but you can hear the bass, whereas with in-ears you generally can't hear much bass at all, but you can hear the bass, you can hear the drums, you can hear everything in proper perspective, and it really opens up the experience of wearing in-ears in a professional setting. So I'm very impressed.